Hey guys, come on in. Type in freedom now. We're going to be talking about the new travel ban that was that's now out. Okay, the new travel ban is out. Expanded travel ban. So come on in. Type in freedom now. I'm Latoya McBean Pompey, an immigration lawyer in New York, working with clients nationwide at McBean Law. I don't want you to panic tonight. Everything's going to be okay. This is an update about what's going on with expanded restrictions on travel to the United States. However, for some of you, you will be able to get a waiver to come on in to the United States. It's not going to be very easy for very many people. However, some people will be able to, on a case-by-case basis, be able to come in. So come on in to this live session tonight and type in freedom now. I'm going to get into some important information, including the new countries. Okay, I see folks are joining. It's very nice to see you. The new countries that are added to this expanded travel ban list. You may reach out to us, guys, for help with regard to coming to the United States. This travel ban will go into effect on January 1st, and 2026. Okay, so for those of you who will or already have a visa, and those of you who will be approved for a visa before January 1st, 2026 from these countries, you will be able to still come to the United States. So I really wanted you to know that from the very beginning. All right, guys, share this live session with your feed if you're joining on social media. Thank you so much, and give me a follow before you go tonight. And also subscribe to this channel. If you're watching and you'd like to see what others are seeing, get onto YouTube. Excuse me. Okay. Get onto McBean Immigration TV on YouTube. All right. Let's go. Let's go. Type in freedom now. I see that many of you are joining on YouTube, which is excellent. Thank you so much for being here tonight. So let's talk about this, guys. Take a deep breath first, okay? So the White House issued their proclamation restricting and limiting the entry of foreign nationals to protect the security of the United States. We saw this coming. The White House had announced that a couple of weeks ago after the tragic shooting of the two National Guard members, one of whom passed away tragically, that they would be expanding the travel ban list to many other countries, and they have in fact done so. Certainly litigation is going to be filed to stop this, but as far as obviously it's going to take some time for litigation to really work. So this is the news regarding the proclamation. January 1st, 2026 is when these restrictions will go into place, particularly for the new countries that have been added to the list. And the White House has said that these countries are targeted for various reasons. Okay, number one, they argue that these countries have unreliable or non-existent civil records like birth certificates, marriage certificates, divorce decrees, death certificates, or there's widespread corruption in these countries, or inaccurate or inaccessible criminal records. Okay, then there's poor passport security issues, or high visa overstay rates, failure to accept their own deported nationals when the United States is trying to deport them. They are refusing to take their nationals back. Or another rationale given by the White House is that there's active terrorist organizations or widespread instability in these countries. And then lastly, the last reason given or justification is that Some of these countries have these citizenship by investment programs that allow people to buy passports and evade restrictions. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just show you, just give you a little preview here on the screen of the countries that are on this list, and then we're going to take it one by one here. This is a list. If you're joining on other platforms and you cannot see this list, you can go over to McBean Immigration TV on YouTube so that you could see this list. This list is divided into really three parts. The first part are countries that are fully restricted, meaning that both immigrant and non-immigrant visas are not available. This is a full restriction on travel. There are some exceptions. I will share with you some exceptions momentarily. Then there are partial restriction countries, and these partially restricted countries, their travelers are restricted with respect to the green card, as well as students, visitors, and let's see. So there are students, visitors, and green card holders. Green card, people who are applying for a green card, not green card holders, but people who are applying for a green card are restricted in these partial restricted countries. And then there's one modification that has been made to one country, Turkmenistan, and we'll talk about that momentarily. But for the most part, guys, this is a list of the fully restricted countries. And I'm going to pull up a different document here that gets into better details here. So the fully restricted countries, there are 12 that are the same as before, right? Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, the Republic of the Congo, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen. And then there are now seven additional countries that are subjected now to this full suspension or full ban. No surprise here, African countries, okay, for the most part. Burkina Faso, Laos is not an African country. Laos, Mali, Niger, Sierra Leone, South Sudan, and Syria. Okay, these are two of them, Laos and Sierra Leone, were previously on the partial ban list, and now they have been bumped up, so to speak, or moved up to the full suspension list. Also fully suspended or restricted are individuals traveling on Palestinian Authority issued or endorsed travel documents. If my audio is good and crystal clear on all of the platforms or whatever platform you're joining me from today, just type in that your audio is good, okay? So that I have a good sense of what's going on your end. Is the audio good? On YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, and on TikTok. Let me know that the audio is good. All right, so I see that it's good on Instagram. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. TikTok, is the audio okay on TikTok? And then lastly, YouTube, it's good. Okay, thank you very much. All right, excellent. Let's keep going. Now, there are now only 4 partially restricted countries, okay? 4 partially restricted countries, because again, 2 of those countries moved up to the full suspension list. So the 4 partially restricted countries, same as before, Burundi, Cuba, Togo, and Venezuela. Now we're going to get into 15 new partially banned countries. Again, they're partially banned because they're seeking a green card, an immigrant visa to come to the United States, or the green card. They're also banned because they're seeking a visitor non-immigrant visa, like the B1, B2 visa. They're also banned because they're seeking a student visa, like the F, M, or J visas. And countries on this list, there are 15: Angola, Antigua and Barbuda, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time with that particular country, but you know who you are. Dominica, Gabon, the Gambia, Malawi, Mauritania, Nigeria. Okay, Nigeria is on this list because the proclamation says that radical Islamic terrorist groups such as Boko Haram and the Islamic State operate freely in certain parts of Nigeria, which creates substantial screening and vetting difficulties. And then it cites their visa overstay rate of 5.56%, and then their student visa overstay rate of 11.9%, which is crazy, ridiculous, right? Because there are other countries that have these similar problems with respect to visa overstay. But they did specifically cite the terrorist groups and activity in Nigeria. So Nigeria has made it to the partial ban list, in which the immigrant visa, the green card, and students and visitors are banned at this start in January 1st. Senegal is on the list. Tanzania is on the partial list. Tonga is on the list. That's Tonga. Zambia is on the list, and Zimbabwe is also on this partial ban list. They made one change, I think it's just one, to Turkmenistan. They have lifted the non-immigrant restrictions that were on that country, but the immigrant visa suspension remains in place. So again, guys, some big countries, so to speak, that are now on this travel ban list include Nigeria, Senegal, Antigua, right? And some other countries. This is the travel ban extended list. I'm going to jump back on the screen here because I have some very important information to share with you with respect to this issue. Okay. Now, in summary, this proclamation, before I talk about who is exempt here and the other things that are significant about this proclamation continues to fully ban 12 countries that we knew about previously. It added 7 new countries to that full ban list. It fully bans individuals traveling on Palestinian Authority issued or endorsed documents. It expands it expands the partial ban list to 15 additional countries. It maintained partial bans on 4 countries, and then it made that one modification. Now, here's what's big and important about what they've done in this one that's really not so amazing. Okay. Um, as you guys know, in other travel bans that we've discussed, there's usually an exception for families, okay? Families of US citizens or families of green card holders. There is no such exception in this one, okay? One of the most consequential parts of this proclamation is the elimination of broad family-based immigrant visa exceptions for affected countries. And as I've mentioned, under prior policy, family relationships often functioned as a major exception to travel bans. US citizens and lawful permanent residents could often sponsor their spouses, children, parents, or siblings, even when a country is restricted, but not so under this harsh proclamation. The proclamation explicitly states that immigrant visas, when you hear the phrase immigrant visa, what we're talking about here is the green card. Immigrant visas for family members of individuals in the United States will no longer be a broad categorical exception here. And this is a huge, huge policy shift. Again, this is going to be challenged. I guarantee you this is going to be challenged. Now, the government in this proclamation is making various arguments about why they're not going to have these broad categorical exceptions for families. Number one, they say here in the proclamation that family-based visas make up the majority of immigrant applications. And for many of the restricted countries, family-based petitions account for most immigrant visa requests. And by allowing broad exceptions, the administration would basically undermine those exceptions would basically undermine the purpose of the ban entirely. Then they also say that there are the documentation problems with respect to fraud and all of that are worse in family cases. And it argues about the fact that there are fraudulent birth certificates, fake marriage licenses, altered family records, and the fact that there's really no reliable way to confirm that, this is my parent or this is really my spouse, right? Marital status. Then they go on to say that in the proclamation that family ties have in the past have been used as vectors for fraud and crime. And you guys could read about that if you're interested in that particular, the rationale there. But in any event, what this means for families is that having a US citizen or a green card holder family member in the United States is no longer enough. Family-based immigrant visas are presumptively barred, and approval is no longer the default. Like, okay, yeah, they're going to approve that immigrant visa for your spouse or child overseas. It's going to be a tougher road ahead for individuals trying to bring in their relatives from these countries. Not impossible. It's gonna this proclamation offers a narrow discretionary national interest waiver that can still be used, and you should definitely seek legal help to determine whether you have a really, you have an argument to be made here to bring in your family member. Now, who is exempt from this? Who does this not apply to? This does not apply to green card holders. So if you have a green card, this does not apply to you, okay? So you could just say, thank God, not me, but a lot of other people are affected, okay? But not green card holders, unless you're trying to bring in your relative, right? Unless you're trying to bring in your relative. Number two, the proclamation does not apply to those of you who are dual nationals traveling on an unrestricted passport. Now, this proclamation is a restriction on travel entry to the United States. This is different from the pause that is in effect currently of all applications for individuals who are going through an immigration process from one of those 19 countries that we've been talking so much about. That's a different process. And those applications are paused, despite the fact that you're a dual national, because with respect to that pause on all of those applications, it's connected to your country of birth. Whereas this travel ban is about entry into the United States. And so dual nationals traveling on a passport that is not a travel ban country, you will be able to come to the United States. Who else is exempt here? Certain diplomatic and international organization visas, very high level visas, athletes traveling for major international sporting events, special immigrant visa holders for US government service, certain persecuted minorities from Iran, individuals already granted asylum or refugee status, and those who already have a valid visa issued before January 1st, 2026. Importantly, asylum and refugee protections remain legally available, okay? Although this administration is not a fan of asylum seekers, all right? So those are the groups of people who are exempt, who this does not apply to. The big blow here is, of course, the previous exception that applied to family members. That's that's gone here. That's gone here, and that's a big problem. Okay, so friends, this is the I think those are the pieces of information that I think you should know about with respect to this new expanded travel ban that was just released today by the White House. And I'm going to put that list up on the screen here, and I'll go through a few of your questions, see what you're thinking and asking about this awful news tonight. Thank you. But again, do not panic, because for some of you, there is a way for you to get legal assistance to come to the United States. Again, there's a narrow exception that is written in here, okay? Thank you very much, guys. Okay, so let's see. Syria is on the list. Syria is on the list. What I'm going to do, let's go back. Let's go here. Syria is on the list. Someone is asking about Syria. Syria is a new country added. Syria is a new country added to this list with full suspension. They've suspended all entry into the United States for individuals from Syria. Can I travel to Zimbabwe for holidays? So this is what we're talking about here tonight, guys, is about traveling to the United States, okay? Not you traveling somewhere else, okay? Um, let's see. Um, uh, any idea when or what should we do if we are from one of those 19 countries and we're waiting for an oath ceremony? So you also might have heard in the news that naturalization oath ceremonies have been canceled for individuals who are from one of those 19 countries. You could file a lawsuit. You could certainly file a mandamus lawsuit to enforce your rights to be able to move forward with your case, because certainly you paid the government a fee for it to consider your application. You followed all of their agency rules and regulations. You did everything right, and this is arbitrary what they're doing here, and it's completely. You could file a lawsuit with regard to that. Let's see. Thank you, guys. Green card holders are not, this travel ban does not hurt green card holders or apply to green card holders who are traveling to the United States. It will hurt green card holders from the standpoint of those who are waiting to bring in a relative here, your spouse or your child, right? As a green card holder. Green card holders can come in. If you're a green card holder, you're from Nigeria, and you've traveled there, someone is asking a question about that. I'm not going to pull up the questions on YouTube on the screen tonight, just because I have other things on the screen here. It would be too much, so I'll just read the questions as I see them. You should be able to get back into the United States. It's your right and privilege as a green card holder, and this travel ban says that it does not apply to green card holders, lawful permanent residents. So people with valid visas from Nigeria can still visit. Yes, you could still visit the United States even after, even after January 1st, because according to this travel ban, it says here that you must have held that validly issued visa before this January 1st, 2026 date. Okay, freedom now, freedom now. Let's see. So if I'm applying for change of status because I'm married to a US citizen and my case is paused, okay, you're talking about adjustment of status. The pause is in effect for those from the 19 countries, and I would imagine eventually, obviously, they're going to. It has to be, I would say everyone that is. They haven't done this yet. I haven't seen anything yet. Okay, that says that the pause is extended to every country, including the new countries that have been added to this. I haven't seen that yet. If someone has seen any news or information related to that, please share it, because I was live earlier on TikTok when the news broke. Someone told me, oh, the list is out, the travel ban is out, and I had to cut TikTok short to go home and prepare for you tonight. So if you have any additional information, you can kindly share it here as well. Sierra Leone, yes, Sierra Leone is on this list now as fully suspended. They've upgraded in a very bad way Sierra Leone to a fully suspended country. Okay. And they did the same thing with Laos. Let's see. Does it apply to people who are in that country, in a travel ban country, applying for the employment-based green card? And yes, it's an immigrant visa. Okay, it's an immigrant visa, so it does apply there. Can you please talk about Sierra Leone? I just did. It's on, unfortunately, the full suspension immigrant and non-immigrant visa list. Is India on the list? No, India is not on the list. The list is primarily made up of African countries and a handful of Middle Eastern countries, but India is not one of those countries. Venezuela is still on the list, so is Cuba, Togo, and Burundi. Again, for green card people who are applying for a green card, students, and visitors. They're partially banned from traveling to the United States at this time. Can I apply for my mother who is in Nigeria using legal assistance? Yes, you can. You can still file a case. Friends, you can still file an I-130 for your relative, USCIS, as of tonight, as we're doing this live. USCIS is processing these I-130 cases for countries like Nigeria. Is Cameroon on the list? No, Cameroon is not on this expanded list here. Okay. Cameroon is not on this list. Thank you. I do not know. I don't have any information concerning any lawsuit at this time, but I believe that a lawsuit will be filed to challenge this. It is so broad. The exceptions are it's just way too narrow here, I think. Does the new ban apply to people who are already in the United States from Nigeria who are applying for a green card? It does not, because this is a travel ban which targets people who are trying to come to America. This is an entry restriction, so to speak. What do I think will happen with Colombia? Colombia is not a travel ban country, but Colombia, unfortunately, was caught up recently, last week's news. Colombia was in last week's news. At the end of last week, the government announced that it's ending the family reunification parole program, and families from Colombia are impacted by that awful decision. You could watch my live session from Saturday, I believe. I addressed that issue on Saturday. I do not see Guinea. Guinea is not on the list, guys. My apologies if this list that's on the screen right now is a little small. We're also going to share the list and more information after I get off tonight's live. We're going to share a carousel on Instagram and Facebook. So you could always jump over to our social media after I get off this live session and check out the carousel that we will be publishing tonight called Breaking News. That's where you could also see the list, and I encourage you to share that post with other people as well. Does it affect adjustment of status? This travel ban does not affect adjustment of status. This is only about those who are coming to the United States, travel to the United States. Can CBP ask questions when re-entering the United States? Oops, this is why I didn't want to move. Can CBP ask questions when re-entering the United States with your U.S. citizen husband about approved green card case? So if you're traveling to the you're coming into the United States with your spouse, I don't think you're going to have a problem. Um, uh, you've just got your green card, you're traveling with your spouse coming in. I don't see why CBP would have any reason to question you about your marriage in particular, but certainly they could inquire into anything else that they or choose to inquire about. Thank you, guys. Green card holders can travel abroad to their country. You know, someone is asking about Zimbabwe. Can I travel? I'm a green card holder. Can I travel there and come back? This does not restrict green card holders from entering the United States. Green card holders are completely taken out of the equation here with this travel ban. Okay. Thank you for Zevlova 612. Thank you for clarifying for me. Thank you. I appreciate that. Students are caught up in this. Students, particularly, well, yeah, on the full list and the partial list, students are will be banned under this expanded travel ban. Let's see. I see people are asking questions like, I have DACA, I have SIG, can I travel it domestically? I would just say that, or someone said, I have a real ID. A real ID, you're fine to travel. The big restriction on travel domestically within the United States really has to do with who has a removal order, right? If you have a removal order, that's you're targeted. You're going to be targeted because last week the news broke from New York Times saying that TSA is sharing all traveler names with ICE, and ICE is running everyone's names through their database to see who has an A number that is then linked to a removal order. So just be very careful with your travels, domestic travels on airplane. Okay, Freedom Now, guys. Freedom Now. If you're just joining, I covered earlier that the new travel ban list is out. The White House has issued the new ban. This new ban is awful from the standpoint of it doesn't allow family-based exceptions anymore. It says we're not going to consider the fact that you have a U.S. citizen spouse or parent or whatever in the United States, or a green card holder spouse, that we're not going to just say, give a blanket exception here to those big groups of people. No, this is all going to be on a case by case basis that we're going to consider a waiver. And this travel ban list has added quite a number of new countries to the full suspension list. They added 7 countries. The new ones are Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, South Sudan, Syria, and then they've added 2 countries that were on the partial ban list, Laos and Sierra Leone. Okay, so for a total of 7 countries that are new, so to speak, that are on the full list, along with all of the old ones, right? Okay. Will this hurt those with SIG waiting to apply for a green card? No, this has nothing to do with with that type of process. You're here in the United States going through a green card process as created by our government. It doesn't impact you unless, you're from one of those 19 countries. Has anyone seen anything with respect to any guidance or policy updates or changes? I'm asking you because it's late and all of this is breaking. So help a sister out. Any policy changes with regard to the application of all of these new countries to the pause, like everything is paused on hold until we review everything. I have not seen any statement yet saying that, oh, we're going to add all of these new people, new countries, which is crazy because the travel ban is based on a certain section of the law that only touches on entry into the United States. So for them to use that as a justification to pause your applications here in the United States, they're wrong about that. They are on the wrong side of the law there. Okay. Can someone from Nigeria apply for a US visa after January? Well, the US Embassy is not going to issue it. Okay. You could always apply, but as far as issuing the visa, whenever there's a ban in place, the US Embassy will not issue that visa for visiting purposes. Zambia, someone is asking, well, can you talk about Zambia? Zambia has been added to the partial ban list. Again, if you're applying for a green card or the immigrant visa from Zambia or a visitor visa or student visa, they will not issue the visa during the time of this ban. Is Nigeria fully suspended? No, Nigeria is not fully suspended. Nigeria is only partially suspended. Okay. Partially suspended. And I think some of you saw Nigeria come in, and I was, kind of cautiously optimistic that, because of foreign policy considerations, that they would be careful. But they did it. They did it. Just don't they did it. Okay. Let's see. Guinea is not on the list. DRC is not on the list, my understanding. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. DRC is different. Am I wrong or correct about that, from the Republic of the Congo? Because you guys love correcting me about that, the confusion between the two Congos, okay? Only Republic of the Congo is on the list, okay? Thank you, Lovely Daily, for your kind words. I see that. Thank you. Let's see. Togo is on the list. Someone is asking, what about Togo? Can they now apply for their Togo is still a partially restricted country. Okay, Togo is still restricted. Liberia is not on the list. Liberia is not on the list. I think, as I'm scrolling through and I'm seeing your comments, you must have missed obviously the beginning of tonight's live session. Togo is not on the list. People are adding many different countries here. What if your case is at the National Visa Center? So your case I think it's very well possible for your case to get very far, even documentarily qualified at the visa center. But as far as I just wouldn't, have an interview scheduled at the, until a ban is lifted, unless you're working strategically with an attorney and you know that there's a waiver that you're seeking. Then yes, you could go all the way to the end, which is an interview. But the embassies they're ordered not to issue a visa for, individuals from these countries based on whether there's a full restriction versus a partial ban. Ghana is not on the list. America has a great relationship with Ghana from what I can see. Ghana is not on the list. Can you explain the partial suspension? So partial suspension applies to the visa categories that that have been partially that are impacted by this. And so it's the immigrant visa, which is the green card. Then it's the visitor visas, the B1, B2, F, M, and J student visas as well. Okay, let's see something here. Go down a little bit. Thank you, guys. Okay. Will the F1 visa be issued to Nigerians after January 2026? According to, if this is still in place, according to this, the answer is no. They will not issue the student visa after January 1st, 2026. Thank you, Ella5442, for clarifying that I'm correct. DRC is not all caps on the list. All right. I had to learn a geography lesson real quickly. You guys blew up the DM when we made one mistake in one post. Whew, you guys, you're a force. So thank you for that. Thank you. Ivory Coast is not on the list. Ivory Coast is not on the list. Okay. All right, friends, I'm going to get off now. I'm going to jump off and to allow this session to be very short for those who will be watching the replay. So again, subscribe to my channel on McBean Immigration TV if you have not yet subscribed, and hit that notification bell. We're here for you. Do not panic. Green card holders are not impacted by this travel ban unless you're filing for a relative, your spouse, or your child. Then this ban says that you're not automatically, those people who you're filing for are not automatically going to be approved. You really have to now fight for it and make a case regarding a waiver that's needed. So just keep in mind that there's hope. This is not going to be in place forever, okay? And I know it may seem like forever when you're separated from the person that you love and you want your relatives here and you want them to be safe with you. If there are problems with your family in the country that they're in, okay, if they're facing some humanitarian challenges, if there's a civil war, if there are things going on there that makes it really dangerous for them, immediately speak to an attorney about what's going on there and where your case is in the process. And let's see what we can do to mount a fight to bring your relative to the United States. So do not lose heart, do not give up, and do not panic, okay? Do not panic. So guys, watch this again so that you can get the pertinent information that I shared earlier about who this applies to and who it does not apply to, all right? And why the government is doing this. Thanks so much for being with me tonight, friends. I appreciate your support and for being here with me. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay in the loop on all that we share at McBean Law. Thanks so much for being here. And guys, I will see you in the next one. I'm aiming for Friday to be my last. Please let Friday be my last day doing a live session for the year. And if this government does anything crazy, I will be back. But I would really, really like Friday. Join me Friday for hopefully our last news roundup of the year. Okay, that is my goal. But I'm here for you nonetheless. If the government comes out with anything that I think is important for you to know about, I will do it. I will come back to you. But I'd like to take a little break from the news for a couple of weeks and refresh and come back to you swinging in January. So join me on Friday It's going to be Friday evening. I'm aiming for around 5 o'clock p.m. on Friday. So, guys, thanks so much for being with me tonight, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.